Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and I'm going to go through and show you some of the testing I did of the U6 Pro access point versus the HD Nano. Now, this is a Wi-Fi 6, has gigabit Ethernet on it, so does the Nano. I would show you the Nano, but the Nano is at my brother's. Uh, this was also tested on the UDM Pro with the Enterprise 48 switch, 2.5 gig. So there's that. My brother's got the UDM Pro now. He's got the Nanos. I got the new UDM Pro SE, and I got the U6 LRs, or U6 Pros, and I got an LR, which have been here for a while, and I've been using them. It's just the Nano's been sitting here, and his wireless consumer router was dying, so he got an upgrade, and that's where it's at. So you're not going to see it, but at least we'll have some data here in a little bit. And you can jump ahead if you want. I will say this: I tested from my desktop. Now this desktop has a Wi-Fi 6E AX210 Intel wireless card. Both of the firmwares of the Nanos and the Pros were the same version, 6.2.25. It was 80 megahertz with same channel, same distances, same locations for each test. I was using a RoboCopy speed test. Now remember, speed test can vary a little bit, so there was multiple of those done, multiple files sent, and anything. I'll say this: there were some things I was questioning of what was going on, so it took a lot of time for me to kind of diagnose and try to either confirm, hey, this is the way it is at this current stage, or try to fix what was going wrong. So way too many hours. You're going to get a file receive and a file send at 1 gig and 10 gig. Basically, if you go any higher than that, it's the same speed throughout, maybe a little variance there, but within the standard deviation. I wasn't too concerned there. I will say this: the U6 Pro is a much faster reboot, even than the U6 LR and especially the Nano. So if you're looking at these, that is there. Now these are much bigger overall than the Nanos, right? I did the upgrade here because the Nanos were kind of struggling in the corners of my house. I'm not running a wireless access point to every single room. These are for coverage. I ran a wire to every single room to have everything plugged in where necessary. So these are just for wireless, basically wireless only devices, and or something you're going to migrate from room to room. So that's a little bit of that. Hopefully this time I don't accidentally press the end button and keep on talking like happened the first time. So the joys of recording and clicking on things. But I did test these at 7 feet. Now this is going to be in a real world environment. This isn't any, perfection environment, right? I got a house over here to the side of me, house to that side. Of course, it won't be affected because I got other APs in between. There is, and I got a huge backyard, so there's nobody there. But then across the road, there are other houses. So I live in a rural area, so it's not like it's congested at all. It's just there's people out here every once in a while. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, that's how these tests were done. Now, I did also test on my OnePlus 9. Eek. I think it's something with OnePlus. I don't think it's something with the access points. Yeah, it's hard to diagnose. I spent too much time on that, and yeah, I gave up. There have been people on the forums of OnePlus asking them to, and other videos about them, telling OnePlus, improve your software. It's kind of junky. It's gotten worse over the years, and I agree. So maybe I'll come back to that. Maybe that's another video, but at this time, that data, I'll give it to you. Just take it with a grain of salt. It's just, it seems like something was kind of weird there. So, yeah, just keep that. So let's jump into it. We have, I'll give you each section of the table, and we'll go from there. Now, I also did wired, so the desktop wired is also a scenario. So if you're curious of how fast it is wired, it's gigabit all the way through. I'll just keep it there for reference. um, at 7 feet and then at 25 feet. So we had the nano at the connection speed. So this is the speed in which the device connects to, not transferring, just the connection. So at 7 feet, the nano was 866 megabits per second. The pro was 1200 megabits per second. So you got that going for you. A little bit faster. Remember, this is a Wi-Fi 6 device versus a Wi-Fi 5. The Nano at 25 feet was 866 megabits per second. And then the Pro was 960 megabits per second at 25 feet. Gigabit, of course, is gigabit. So let's go to internet speeds. I have an internet here, gigabit. It is only gigabit, well, 940 megabits per second, and then 40 up. So, yeah, I'm not testing the up. These things can handle the up. But the Nano was 503 megabits per second down. This was 823 megabits per second down, the Pro. At 7 feet, at 25 feet, the Nano was 305 megabits per second down versus the U6 Pro at 721 megabits per second down. Now, wired, if you're curious, right, it's 940 megabits per second down. That's what I got that day on the UDM Pro. Yeah, when I do my review of the UDM SE, we'll get some more data on that. I'll get you some more interesting data. But going into the 1 gig file send or receive and send. Now this is receiving the file from my disk station, which is 2.5 gig NIC, fast SSD to this machine, which is a 1 gig NIC and or wireless, right, depending upon which one it was, and then a SSD, 970 Evo in there, and there's a Corsair in that other one. So fast SSDs, I'm not worried about the speed or the limitations there on any of the hardware. It's just the access points, right? The network is running across a 48 port enterprise Ubiquiti Unify enterprise switch, which is all 2.5 gig there. So they were connected at what was it? Their speeds, Nano at 7 feet was 436 megabits per second versus the sending of 545 megabits per second. So a little bit of question, like why is the receive a little bit slower than the send? I think it's the firmware, because there was a difference in all the sending with these devices. So I think it's firmware of Ubiquiti's, but I spent a lot of time trying to figure that out. 8, 10, 12 hours, someplace there. So this is, real life. This is just the information, right? I'm not gonna speculate. I might speculate a little bit, but not too much. Just take it as it is, right? Information. We have the U6 Pro at 7 feet with 604 megabits per second in the receive, and then 849 megabits per second for the send. So it works great, right? You're sending that, and it's got some great speeds. Nano at 25 feet was 327 megabits per second on the receive and 594 megabits per second on the send. So, these nanos aren't horrible, right, for what you're doing with it. Especially if you're putting them and having coverage of 1, 2 rooms, and not what I'm trying to do with them, where it was 2 nanos for an entire house. Now, granted, my house isn't that big. It's like 2,000 square feet, 1,900 square feet, someplace in there, plus a garage. It strained them a little bit. The Pros handle it much better. That's why I went with the Pros. We've got up there, and I have a U6LR for my garage, so it can cover, because these are in the basement. The U6LR is in the garage to kind of do a little bit more coverage, hit some more of my yard. But yeah, and then you jump over to the 25 feet on the Pros, which is 430 and then 780 megabits per second. Again, if you're connected directly wired, it's gigabit. They're like 990, 980, 1. It's someplace in there. margin of jumping around. For the 10 gig file, receive and send, the Nano is 425 megabits per second and then 588 megabits per second on the send at 7 feet. At 7 feet for the U6LR, that was 616 megabits per second versus 852 megabits per second on that one. If I say a wrong number because I'm being dyslexic at that point, just read the number off the screen. It's written down. Um, these are verified. These are run multiple times, verified. It takes a lot of time to do some of this data. I never complain about somebody doing a test data because it takes a lot of dang time. Oh, so let's jump into 25 feet. For the Nano, it's 331 megabits per second, 601 on the send. So you got a little bit faster. That was another scenario of, hey, let's take some time. Let's figure out what the heck is going on here. So that was another, on top of those 8 to 10 hours trying to figure out what was different between the discrepancies of just send and receive data, difference in speed versus, okay, why was it jumping a little bit more? Which, yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to argue with these numbers. A new firmware could be something different. Environment could be something different. And yeah, I mean, heck, my OnePlus just came out with an update today. And as soon as I get done with this, I'm going to be testing the Pro, because my brother has a Nano, to see if there's a little bit better, because they said there were some network improvements. See if it's better finally, right? There's some questions here. And then at 25 feet, you got 410 megabits per second on the receive, and then 796 on the send. So you're getting you're getting anywhere between, high 7s to 800s between these two distances for this to transfer, which is really nice. You're approaching that gigabit speed on wireless, works really well, and it's just something that a few years ago we were just hoping that we would get to, and now I think it finally pushed wired to step up its game, get to 2.5, 5, and 10, finally, right? Get the networks progressing, which I think eventually will force internet providers to say, hey, people actually want to use their networks and use the internet speed. Let's provide a little bit faster speed. Now, I did 50 gigs. I'm not going to even give you the data for 50 gigs on what the transfer speed is. You take the 10 gig and you figure it out, because it's exactly the same. One, it takes a long time to transfer 50 gigs when you're in 400 megabits per second. But when you're getting the same speeds, it's just not worth it. So that's where it was. And then I ran iPerf, and I ran 2 different sets of iPerf. I will hopefully blank out my machine here name, and you guys can see the different commands. But at 7 feet for the Nano was 323 megabits per second. This is just a standard iPerf -C computer name. And then 441 with the U6 Pros at 7 feet, and then 348 at the Nano 25 feet, 441 again exactly for the U6 wired gigabit. Again, wired's gigabit through here, 940 megabits. Close enough, right? It's in the noise for me, right? If you're connecting at that speed, that's pretty dang good. Now, iPerf, I was doing iPerf -C. Computer name -T space 20 -W space 40M. So that's kind of the command. It's an increase of time, and I believe of size of what we're trying to transfer. This is the same command that I ran when I did the U6LR versus the Nano. So that's just something to go back on. If you want to go back and do that video. Now, you can't compare those two. You can't compare you can't compare this video and that video, because we have different firmwares, different, granted, it's basically the same. It would be the exact same testing spots, but they wouldn't be the same channels. They would be the same width. They would be the same files, technically, because I kept the files. Yeah, so you can't really compare those based upon the firmwares. I mean, based upon even driver updates of these wireless cards and different phones. So that's just something to keep in mind. But for the Nano at 7 feet was 574 megabits per second, 758 megabits per second for this, 570 megabits at 25 feet, 730 megabits per second for this, 965 when you're plugged in. Now, if you're interested in the difference in your signal strength, you have negative 52 dBm on the Nano at 7 feet, negative 44 dBm on the Pro. Then you have negative 59 at 25 feet for the Nano, and then negative 53 dBm on the Pro. So those are the numbers to the desktop. Those I'm very confident in those numbers with how often they ran with this firmware, with the driver, etc. in this environment. Those are there. Now the ones I am not so confident in. Now I'm confident because I've tested them a lot on both, or on the desktop, and they kind of make sense except for the discrepancy in, hey, there's a difference between receive and send, what that is, right? But the phone, I just don't, I can't, I know a lot more about the computer. I can dive into a lot more stuff with it than I can with the phone, where it's a more closed ecosystem, if that makes sense, right? I can't go and take a look, hey, what's wrong with the driver here? Why is it not making sense? Software's my background. So I looking into some of that stuff is what I like to do. So when I did the phone, it was tested at the same distances, the same setup as the computer. And so, yeah, we had 725 feet. The connection speed was 433 on the phone for both distances on the Nano. And then the Pro was also the same at 720 megabits per second. The internet speed down was 289 at 7 feet for the phone on the Nano. On the Pro, it was 366. Right? These just start not making sense. Like, why are they so slow compared to just the desktop? It's connecting at the 2x, same as the desktop. So what is it? You have 246 megabits per second for the phone at 25 feet on the Nano, and then the Pro is 288. Then I did a speed test to the UDM Pro, their Dream Machine. You can do speed tests there because iPerf was just not working on the phone. Oh my gosh. It seems like apps for that the app I used last time is no longer published, so great. Fun times. So again, it's time restraint, getting some stuff out to my brother, right? So this was just there, and it was 246 megabits per second down, and then the up speed to the UDM was 169 megabits per second, and this is the Nano at 7 feet. The Pro was 326 and then 185 megabits per second. So, okay, a little bit faster. But then when you jump to the Nano at 25 feet, it was 324 and 163 respectively, versus the Pro, which was 303 megabits per second and 185. There's just something weird with the phone. I'm not understanding it. So these are just numbers for you. I am not gonna put hey, these are what it's gonna always be or what it should be. There's something there. I spent a lot of time trying to figure it out. Again, there's an update on the phone that just happened. The video is already set up to go, and I'm not going to take the time to try to spend the next 4 hours trying to figure out why the phone still either fix itself or still being stupid. So if you have a different phone, you might have a better outcome, right? Or a different wireless device, right? These are certain wireless devices, right? The desktop has 2 external antennas with a PCI card for wireless. So yeah, but overall, I have to say this device I highly recommend. The Nano isn't bad either, right? My brother got the Nanos. I mean, he's not going to complain. I mean, he's not complaining. His apartment has 2 Nanos. He finally gets speeds that he expects throughout his entire apartment. Now, he's in a highly congested area, right? He's in an apartment, but you can, you know, if you overpower stuff, right, you can do stuff like that. So um, there is for my scenario, right, I needed to do a little bit of an upgrade to get the better coverage that this had, right? You get a little bit of extra speed out of there, right? You get the Wi-Fi 6 stuff, but you don't get faster Ethernet. It's still only gigabit. You don't get, um, you know, you get a little bit longer range than the nanos or the lights. But you know, for my scenario, I mostly run wired. I'm not in, you know, a wireless device in, or you know, wireless access point in every room. I don't think I need that yet. You know, to me, I'm trying to get more exterior covers to cover more of my yard and property, but that's kind of where I'm at. So let me know if you have any questions or you have an idea why it was going, you know, some of these differences or anything else, right? This is um, you know, this was set up in my house, and if you have anything, I'm willing to take a listen, do some more tests, and create another video on it. I think that this is interesting. I like to be able to do more, but you know, with you know, doing other work and stuff like that, my schedule doesn't always permit that. But as I get to things, I will get to them and then post them in videos. So with that, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for taking the time to help support Gray Overload and help this channel grow. I hope the audio is better. I did purchase the Rode Wireless Go, and so too. So I'm hoping that that improved the audio here a little bit, and hopefully I've been trying to improve slowly here to get you guys even better content and better quality content each and every time. But if you have any other suggestions or anything else, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any, especially if you have any comments about this Ubiquiti's, the U6 Pro, let me know. And until next time, thank you guys for watching. God bless.